name is Lizzie, and I am a mom of 4 in a small town in Vermont. And I have a 1,200 square foot garden, and I enjoy sharing some of my experiences with the garden and with my chickens and with cooking and some biblical things here on my channel. And I hope you will follow along and subscribe if you enjoy just sharing some mom moments and learning some things and growing together. This video is a little bit different than what I normally do, but sometimes when you're in the dead of winter and you're trying to create content, you have to come up with some creative things. But this is a fun thing, I thought, with everything being winter and everyone's, well, I shouldn't say everyone's inside. You may be the kind of person that likes to go outside and do winter things. I am not particularly. I'll go outside and do what I have to, and I will go outside and spend some time walking around or whatever when it's a day like this that's really bright and sunny, because it's good. And even though it's cold outside, it's, let's see, it's 18 degrees outside right now, so it's chilly, but the sun on your face feels so good. And for the most part, I'm the kind of like cozy hobby type of person. It's like, honestly, I'd rather just stay inside and do things inside. And so today I want to share with you some of my favorite flower books that I have been reading over the last couple of years. These are books that have really inspired me and have helped me in my flower journey to get where I am right now. I have learned a lot from these books as well. They're super duper helpful. I will link everything down below. And then I thought at the end I will share with you some of my other little hobbies that I'm trying to do this winter. I don't have a ton of time because I have a 3-week-old. So free time is very limited, and with a lot of my free time I sleep or rest. But when I do have some time or some energy, or my husband's like, just go do what you want for a little while, I've got him. These are some of the things that I either am working on or that I want to be working on. So let's start with our flower books first. So our first one is called Cut Flower Garden, and this is by Everand App. She's a great person to follow on Instagram or on YouTube. She has a lot of inspiration. She used to sell her own seeds. I think she does not anymore, but I've heard that maybe she is going to get back into it. I'm not really sure. She has a couple of different books, but this by far has been the most helpful one to me. So she basically goes through all these different types of flowers, ones that she has worked on herself, and talks about them and gives you information about them in how to grow them, when to start them, when the best time to harvest is, those kinds of things. And she goes through it in different seasons. So she's got spring, summer, autumn, and winter. And she's got tasks that you should be doing, and then all the really popular flowers that are for each season for those. So it's a really beautiful book. It's got gorgeous pictures in it, and that's kind of what she's known for, is all her gorgeous things to look at on Instagram and on social media and stuff. But even beyond it being just beautiful, it is super, super practical. She works like 60 or 80 hours a week doing all of this, and so she just really knows her stuff. But it's a great resource to be able to be like, okay, I need to know a little bit more about Cosmos. So what page is Cosmos on? And then you just go to the front and find the chapter on Cosmos, which I don't even know where that is, page 129. And flip to 129 and you've got your Cosmos, and you can learn more about those if you kind of have forgotten how to grow them or what to do or whatever, because sometimes that happens. I don't know, when you just have a lot of different varieties of things, you have to remind yourself constantly kind of what you're doing, and then you got to write it down and all this kinds of stuff. So anyways, and it will also give you some really great ideas for maybe flowers that you haven't ever grown before. And so that's pretty cool too. So definitely highly recommend this one, Cut Flower Garden. One I just finished a little while ago is called Sweet Pea School. I listened to her on a podcast that I listen to, and she knows all about sweet peas because that's her thing. I think she does sweet peas and I think she does dahlias, and that's all she does. Look at how gorgeous that picture is right from her farm. And so she specializes in sweet peas. She grows and sells sweet pea seeds directly from her garden. And I don't know if she sells the bouquets or not. So this was super helpful. I feel like sweet peas are a little bit of a lost flower. I think people like them. I think they smell good. But I don't know. I don't see a lot of home gardeners utilizing sweet peas. We talk about them, but I don't know that they're uber utilized. And so again, really gorgeous, gorgeous pictures full of inspiration. She explains all the different types of sweet peas and all the different colors. She goes into some history of things. And then a lot of it is really, really practical stuff of when to start, how to keep them going throughout the summer. And then the most helpful thing actually that I have had from this is that I have trellises that I'm going to put my sweet peas over, and those are already built. But I'm also going to do a row of sweet peas as well on top of that. And one consideration and concern for sweet peas is that when they start growing so tall, they can kind of just flop over. And so she has some ideas in here of how to make some structures that are straight up, like that one, using T-posts and things and netting and so forth to keep it together. And so I told my husband, I'm going to give you that chapter to read so you can make that for me this summer. So that'll work good. So sweet peas, I am coming for you. I'm going to do better with you, and it's going to be gorgeous, and it's going to smell gorgeous. All right, we are back. We have a guest with us who didn't want to finish his nap in his crib. So here we are. All right, so the next book that I have read recently is Pansies by Brenna Estrada. Again, I listened to her on a podcast. I absolutely loved what she had to say about pansies, and I was like, I just have to get the book. So again, super gorgeous aesthetic pictures that really inspire you. She does talk a lot about starting them, when to plant them, how to take care of them, and interesting enough, how to keep them growing throughout the season. And then she talks about the different zones that you can overwinter them in, different types where I'm looking for cut flowers versus just having them in a vase, etc., etc. I want to get into pansies. She has really inspired me because pansies are kind of a lost flower. And she goes, this is actually what makes this book really interesting. She goes into the history of pansies like a lot. She really goes into a lot of details. She did a lot of research on it. And these pansies were really popular in like the Victorian era. They were on clothing. They were on like really fancy plates. They were like the flower that was like this gorgeous flower. And they come in so many pretty colors. And they're just this really gorgeous spring flower. And she had said that there's even so many varieties that used to be around that aren't around anymore because people just didn't take care of them. They just didn't keep up with them. So we've lost a lot of pansy varieties. I feel like a lot of people don't utilize pansies the way that they should. And I think it's overlooked because it's such a kind of a short window that you have it. Like for here in my zone in Vermont, you're gonna put your pansies out, if you're lucky, mid-March. Probably not till the beginning of April though. But then once those warmer temps start coming, you're starting to think about like your petunias you're gonna put out and your marigolds and your garden and all these like warm things because you're like just craving it. And so by the end of May, normally, you have your petunia baskets. So you really only had from the beginning of April to the end of May with these pansies here at least. And then the petunias last all summer. I mean, if you bring them inside, they'll last until through October here if you bring them in during the frost or whatever. And so I think it's just kind of like, oh, well, we don't really have it very long, so whatever. And again, it's not a popular flower. And so a lot of people don't take the time to think about it. When you go to big box stores, you only see the normal, you know, yellow and purple pansies, which are pretty, but there's so much more. So I've started, as you've seen, I've started pansies downstairs in the basement. I'm going to do some things with those. I'm going to see how they go. I'm going to take some of her advice of how to keep them going throughout the year. Or I shouldn't say the year, because they're not, I don't think they're going to overwinter here, but throughout the season, and have them flush back in the fall when it gets cooler. And I would really like to be able to offer some varieties of pansies at my farm stand, that when you go to your big box store, even when you go to a local garden center around here, they're not going to have those varieties because they're just too big. They don't have the time, they don't have the space, and it's probably not going to sell. And so I just want to be a little bit more niche in that way, I guess, and kind of just do something different. That's kind of what I'm looking for with my farm stand, is like just to kind of stand out with like some things that are different from other people. So pansies. Next is Flower Farming for Profit, and this is by Lenny Larkin. I definitely do not consider myself a flower farmer because I'm very small scale, but the flowers is what I'm going heavy on this year in my garden. I want to make market bouquets. I have learned that learning about the flowers, learning about bouquets, putting those on the farm stand, that is really what I have learned to love. And so I'm really hoping that I can market it and do well with it. But I in no way, shape, or form am thinking about scaling to some humongous production, or getting to a place where I'm like hiring people, or like making 3 figures, or like, it's not even in my mind. It's not that it's not possible, but it's just not something I'm searching for. But this book was still really helpful to read and to think about. Some of the things were not as helpful as somebody that's on a small scale, but some of the things were really helpful about, one, how to market, because that's something that I struggle with, and I kind of live out. I don't live out in the middle of nowhere, but you have to be going somewhere specific to be going by my house, if that makes sense. And so people who aren't going by my house wouldn't know I was there unless I was putting things on social media. And so that was helpful. And then also just the pricing range. It is a little nerve-wracking, you know, pricing your flowers and your bouquets, because it's like I don't want to overprice myself and people think that I'm prideful or something. But she does give some good tips on that too. And so that may be something you want to look at, just if you are interested in flower farming and that kind of mindset. The last one that I physically have right here is not a book. It is a magazine, and it is Johnny's Selected Seeds magazine. This is totally free. All you have to do is go on Johnny's website and tell them you want a catalog, and they will send you one. So their catalogs are awesome. They have vegetables, they have fruits, they have microgreens, they have like seed, what am I trying to say? Like seed potatoes, seed garlic, seed onions, those kinds of things that you can buy from them. I bought almost all of my flowers from them. But see, the thing I love about this catalog is it's actually helpful. It's not just looking at pictures. They're very specific in all the different types of varieties that they have, and what is good for this and what is good for that, if you're looking for specific things. Next year, I think I am really going to try to focus a little bit more on my veg production. Not so much that I'm going to try to grow more so that I am going to really utilize and get the good stuff for what I have. Not that what I'm growing isn't good, but I think if I could pick more special varieties that work in my climate better, or they work in the greenhouse better, if I'm putting them in the greenhouse, that kind of thing, then I'll have even more success than I already do. And so next year, I'm already looking at the varieties of things I want to purchase next year veg-wise from them. And then just their flowers are awesome. Just so beautiful. And then in each section, so here is like I just finished, I literally read it like a book. I literally read it like a book. So this is the celery page, okay? And they've only got a couple varieties of celery, so I read through which types of varieties they have and what they're good for. But then down at the bottom of each of the different types of veg or flowers or whatever they have, down at the bottom, it gives you all the information of how to grow it, when to start it, really all you need to know to get it started from seed, which is really cool, really helpful. It makes it not just a pretty thing to look at and something to like spend your money on, it makes it a resource. And I actually keep this every year until I get the one for the next year in the mail. So go on Johnny's and just get the catalog and flip through it. And you can dream about it all you want, or you can learn. Both. Johnny's is really great with their options of what they have, but also just their resources of what they have on how to grow things, all the different trials they do, all that kind of stuff. So recommend that for sure. 2 more books I'm going to recommend to you that I don't physically have. One is going to be Cool Flowers by Lisa Mason Ziegler. I have fallen in love with watching Lisa Mason Ziegler's YouTube channel and going on her app and looking at stuff. And she wrote a book a long time ago called Cool Flowers. And I haven't purchased the book yet just because, I don't know, I just kind of wanted, like, I just have a whole list of books I want to read and I'm just not there yet. But then I found it on an app that I use for purchasing ebooks and audiobooks. And it is on that app. And then I also thought about, I really should check Thrift Books to see if it's on there. So I will post in the description below a link to the book on Amazon if you wanted that physical book. I'll also link the subscription book app that I have. It's called Everand. And I bet some of these books are on there to be able to listen to or to read just on there if you don't really care about having the physical copy of it. You basically pay to unlock books. So it's $11.99 to unlock one book. It's $16.99 to unlock 3 books. I think it's like $28.99 to unlock 5 books. So basically when you pay $30, you get 5 books, which is only $6 a book, which is a really good price. And I will also link my thrift book app down below too, because I think you get a discount if you go through my link and order something on there. And I've always had really good success in finding them. So I want to get that book, and specifically about very early season flowers. You know, my quote unquote growing time is from my last frost, which is in the middle of May, until my first frost, which is at the middle to end of September. That's like my season. But these very early spring flowers can handle a light frost. They can handle some snow. They can handle those types of things. And so this book is a resource for those flowers. Basically, like, don't wait until your last frost to start planting. You need to start planting before then so you can start having flowers in June. This is why I'm seed starting already, right? In January and February, that's what those things are for. And so it's a resource where she lists, you know, the flower, and then gives you all the information that you need on it, about it, how to start it, all those kinds of things. There's a lot of helpful stuff on there. And so I do want to get that book, but I will link all those things below so that you can get the book. And another book that I'm going to recommend that has not come out yet, but is coming out soon, is Bree at Branch and Blossom Farm. Her YouTube channel is called Regenerative Gardening. She has written a book now, and it's basically a culmination of lots of different things that she talks about on her YouTube channels, all in book form. And I have learned a lot from her. I would highly recommend going over to her YouTube channel. I'll link it below. Going through her stuff, you could find so many videos on how to start certain crops, flower crops, that are just really helpful. I'm trying to think if she talks about things other than flowers. Not very much, I don't think. I think her thing is mostly flowers. But just regenerative gardening and suggesting things to not be using pesticides and be using natural fertilizers, and how not to till, those kinds of things, just really helpful things. And so I don't have a link for that book necessarily, because it's like not on Amazon or anything. It's kind of like her own link through her own publisher. So you can go to her YouTube channel, find her on Instagram. I know that she will have a link to her book there, but I am looking forward to getting that book. You can pre-order it now. And so I am looking forward to that. And will be getting that book as well. So those are my books. They're all linked below if you want to take a look at them and you want to try to get through some reading this winter. And then I also thought, let me share some little cozy hobbies that I'm doing. And you guys share your cozy hobbies too. What are you working on this winter? Put down in the comments below. So I'm always knitting something all the time, year round. I'm always knitting something. I don't do any fancy knitting at this point. I'm just a basic knitting. My son asked me for a blanket, and so I made him one, and now my daughter has asked me for a blanket. I got this cute little, it's like a pink, and it's got white, and it's got tan, and it's got like dark pink in it, all mixed in together. And so she's really excited about that. And then I make my other son a blanket, and then eventually I'll make him a blanket. Just gives my hands something to do, like while I'm listening to YouTube or when my husband's listening to something on the TV. Just gives me something to do that is mindless, but I still feel like I'm being productive. So I always have knitting going on. I have tried to gather some things that I was a little bit probably too hopeful to get to this winter, but I still have plans, and so I'm trying. One is making cards and making bookmarks. I would really love to have some of these things available at the farm stand. I feel like it gives a really nice cozy feel, a more personal feel to the farm stand, other than just having tomatoes and flowers out there. I mean, I have more things than that, but so I have got cards, bookmarks, and I got a whole bunch of stamps, and I'm trying to get myself together to make a winter collection that I can kind of share with people or use myself. And I've started thinking about it, and I've started trying to design some things, but I haven't gotten there yet. I am normally very into coloring. So I have a huge thing of pencils. I don't actually have a coloring book right now because my daughter found my coloring book, and there was like one she wanted to do in there. And so now it's in her room, and I'll just let her have that. She's 10. And so I'll let her have that, and I will find something else. My last big thing that I really want to try this winter, and in all honesty, the only reason I haven't tried it is because I'm kind of nervous, is watercolors. And I will see if I can find this book on Amazon and link it for you so that you can see it as well. But it's called Easy Breezy Watercolors, or it's called, no, it's not. It's called Watercolor the Easy Way, sorry. Step-to-step tutorials for 50 beautiful motifs, including plants, flowers, animals, and more. And it really is a helpful book. At the very beginning of the book, this is by Sarah Berenson. And she talks about what you need, and she talks about different basic color palettes, and she talks about the color wheel and how you get the colors you want. And then she talks about painting on wet and painting on dry and all these things that have to do with watercolors. And that may mean nothing to you, but for somebody like me that's not artsy at all, I mean, I couldn't even tell you the colors on the color wheel, I don't think. So that was really interesting to me. to just start learning about some of those things. I was talking to my husband about this book and as I was reading it, and I said, I'm just really nervous to start. And he was like, why? He's a very creative person himself. He's a musician, he's a carpenter, finished carpenter, and he is a photographer as well. And so he just kind of thinks up things in his brain and then they just come. And I told him, but this is so hard for me because she gives you the examples of like the different painting that you're working on, right? So she's got this sunflower, then she's got the outline of the sunflower, but you're gonna follow the steps and then you're going to paint it, right? On top of what she already has there. But it's not gonna look the same as hers. Like there's no way for it to. She could paint a sunflower 5 different times and do it 5 different ways just because the way you push down the brush or whatever. And she explains that in there. Like it's never going to be exactly the same. There's always going to be something different. And that scares me. That terrifies me because I'm like, no, it needs to look exactly like the picture, but it won't. And he said, you need to just loosen up and let some creativity flow and not worry about it. It will be good for you. And it probably is true. So I got this book, and then I got a notepad just from Walmart specifically for watercolors. It's just a little bit of a thicker kind of paper to draw on. And then I did get some brushes that she recommended. She recommended just the round brushes. And then also just a really simple watercolor palette from Michael's is where I got some of that stuff from. So we'll see if I get to that or not. Maybe it'll be a summer thing. Maybe I'll sit outside and try to watercolor. I don't know. We'll see. You guys can keep me accountable. You guys can keep me accountable and see if I've actually been doing it. But between reading, taking care of a baby, and doing some of these things, my day is fully taken up. So comment below if you have any questions. Comment below if you have any other resources or any other hobbies that you want to share with everybody so that we can learn along together. But thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. I hope you're having a cozy, warm winter, and I will see you next week. Bye.